Hey guys, welcome back to Giants Latest. We have a lot to discuss today. The Giants take on the Packers on Sunday. They're back at home. Jameis Winston is quarterback one. They brought back Isaiah Hodgins. Graham Gano is going on IR. There's a lot to discuss, so let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to start with the injury report and talking through some of these roster moves. Some concerns here about the injury report. Obviously, Jackson Dart is not going to be good to go. He did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. He's going through concussion protocol, but he's most certainly not going to be ready for Sunday. This is not a surprise. So Jameis Winston is QB1, which, you know what? At least I'm excited to watch a football game at this point in the season, so I'll take it. Chauncey Golston, Evan Neal, Tyler Nubin, Nacho, Bobby O, Darius Slayton, and Thibodeau all did not practice on Thursday. So that's not great. The ones that I'm most worried about, of course, are Kayvon and Bobby O because we have a linebacker problem. We are already missing Micah McFadden. Last week, we missed Darius Muasau. So now, not great about Bobby O too, and Thibodeau. So we'll see how that goes. Guys who are limited, we have a little bit of good news here is that Paulson Adebo is back at practice. He's been limited the last couple days, which is really important. So it looks like he's going to be good to go for Sunday, and we're going to have him and Cordell Flott, which means we're not going to see Tate Banks. Please, you two, Flott and Adebo, I need you to stay healthy on Sunday. Please give me something to root for here. Next up, Daniel Bellinger, Victor Demukajay, Jermaine Illuminor, Thomas Fidone, Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, Neville Hewitt, and JMS were all limited on Thursday. So again, those guys are working their way back. Illuminor and JMS are both good news. Same thing with Demukajay and Neville Hewitt, because again, from the linebacker perspective, we're a little weak back there. And Flanagan-Foles too, again, helpful there. So obviously we'll see what the final designations are this afternoon. I would say that all of the guys who are limited are probably going to be questionable, if not cleared. Thibodeau, my guess is he's going to be doubtful. And I would say the same thing with Bobby O. So like I said, we'll see how that goes. Next up, Graham Gano has got on IR with a neck injury. Second time this year, fourth time in 3 years. So he's going to be cut when the season ends. I know so many people are like, why don't they just cut him already? Because they're the Giants. Like, do you know how they do things? They would not cut someone like Graham Gano, who's been the starting kicker for the last 3 years, no matter how many times he's been injured. They will not even demote Evan Neal to the practice squad. He's played, one snap this entire season, maybe zero. And they won't even demote him. So do you think they're going to just cut Graham Gano midseason? They most certainly are not. We're going to be stuck with him for the rest of the season. And then, when cuts come, then he'll be gone. So there's that. But the good news is that we have Ben Sauls, Jude McAtamney, and Young Haiku. Young Haiku, I believe, is on the 53. So he's going to be the kicker on Sunday unless some sort of issue comes up. Now, he was dealing a little bit with an ankle, but he has not been on the injury report as of today. So he should be cleared and good to go. And then Ben Sauls is the kicker from Pittsburgh, who is on the practice squad. Same thing with Jude McAtamney, who I know we all know. Let's move along to the wide receivers because Darius Slayton did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, which means it's not looking good for him on Sunday. So before we get all excited about Jalen Hyatt, let me just say, I think we're going to see Jalen Hyatt on Sunday. I do. I don't know in what capacity, especially since Slayton is not going to go. But my guess is that obviously Wandale is the starting slot. And then instead of Slayton, we're going to have Isaiah Hodgins and then probably Jalen Hyatt. Bo Collins is cleared off the injury list, I believe. So he could be an option. Lil Jordan Humphrey is not going to get elevated because he was only on the practice squad. So the Broncos took him back. So he's gone. So the wide receiver position is going to be very interesting. Gunnar Olszewski is probably going to be active. And, he's more of a slot guy, though. So honestly, I would rather see Jalen Hyatt on the outside or put Gunnar on the outside and Jalen Hyatt in the slot. Like, if you want to rotate Wandale for whatever reason, by all means, do it with Jalen Hyatt. Because if you don't trust him to catch the deep ball because he's not good at tracking it, then fine. You're going to tell me he can't catch a 5-yard route? Come on. I can do that. So he has to be able to do that. And, he has that speed. That's like the one thing that he's good at. So I don't know, maybe use him on kick or punt returns. And then on top of that, use him in the slot a little bit. And maybe they can get something out of him. But I am fairly certain we're going to see a lot of Isaiah Hodgins on Sunday. So with that being said, talking about offensive players to watch, Isaiah Hodgins is definitely going to be one of them. I think the wide receiver core as a whole is going to be fascinating on Sunday, truly, because you've got Jameis back there, and you've got no Malik Neighbors, you've got no Darius Slayton. So, I don't know if we're going to see Ray McCloud at this point. I would assume you bring back Isaiah Hodgins because, Ray McCloud hasn't exactly been productive for you. So anyway, maybe just the wide receivers will be interesting to watch. Definitely going to be a lot of substitutions, I think. But I do think we're going to see a lot of Isaiah Hodgins. Next up, I'm excited to see more of Tyrone Tracy. I would love to see a turbo elevation. I'll have a lot of faith in Mike Kafka that we're going to see some good screens if they elevate turbo. I don't know if they're going to. We're not going to find out till Saturday late afternoon, but I'll keep my fingers crossed that we do. If not, I expect to see a lot of Tyrone Tracy. They're going to try and run the ball on this Packers defense. The Packers defense obviously has Micah Parsons and has been holding opposing teams to less than 20 points per game. So definitely going to be a challenge. But I do think that the Giants are going to have a renewed sense of fight with the coaching change. And look, I don't think it means they're going to go out there and beat the crap out of the Packers, but I think they're going to have some life in them. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Other offensive players to watch, obviously Jameis Winston, just, can't wait to see him sling the ball around. Probably going to throw an interception, but also probably going to throw a touchdown. So looking forward to that. And then from the tight end perspective, I just want to see more of Daniel Bellinger involved. I think Theo's done a nice job. He has been much better at some of the drops that he's had for a couple weeks. Last week, much more successful with that. But I really like Daniel Bellinger and think that he should be a good target and a pass catcher and used more often. So I really hope that with Kafka coming on now as the head coach, he's going to make changes like that. And we're going to see a little bit more of Bellinger, maybe as tight end 1 and Theo as tight end 2. I don't know, but we'll see. Moving along, defensive players to watch. Having Cordell Flott back is going to be great. Very excited about having him back. Brian Burns, I think, is always fun to watch. Dexter Lawrence spoke to the media and said that, he's not worried about Dable. He'll be fine in the long run, but obviously he was sad to see him go. So I'm curious what we're going to get out of Dexter on Sunday. We haven't seen a lot from him this year. And, last week he would have had his first sack on the season if it didn't get negated by a penalty from Cordell Flott. So I really want to see clean football. And I want to see Dexter Lawrence get to Jordan Love. This Packers offense has not been lighting it up at all. I don't know if anyone has watched any videos from Packers fans, but they are beside themselves and hate Matt LaFleur. And I posted a video on Instagram the other day because I thought it was so funny. There's this guy on TikTok who basically sarcastically goes through the best throws of the week and the worst throws of the week. And they're just like always hilarious. And most of the time it's Tua, unfortunately for him. But he did a whole video on essentially why Packers fans are pissed off at Matt LaFleur and his play calling. And it's basically every time there's a 3rd and long, he sets up a screen pass. And they've been doing a lot of inside zone runs with Josh Jacobs, who obviously we all know is a stud running back. But basically, because they've been running the same play over and over again throughout every single game, the Eagles stopped it consistently. And I posted the video being like, I hope Shane Bowen is watching this, because it didn't matter what quarter it was. It didn't matter what down it was. It was if they were going to run a run play with Josh Jacobs, he was running through the inside zone and went nowhere every single time. So if there's a renewed sense of fight in this defense, that is what I want to see. You have a perfect opportunity to slow down the run here by watching that exact inside zone run play. Just slow it down and stop it. Do not be the team, after the Eagles shut it down every goddamn play last week, do not be the team that allows Josh Jacobs to go off on you. After you just fired your head coach, make a statement. Go out there and look alive. So I really want to see that from the defense as a whole. And with that being said, I think another good player to watch is going to be Roy Robertson Harris. He's really done a nice job. He has a couple sacks on the season. He's got a couple tackles for loss. Both him and Nacho have been relatively active next to Dexter Lawrence. So I would say that those guys are definitely going to be big to focus on, starting with Roy Robertson Harris, and see if they can really, stop that run game, stop that inside zone run. Because I swear to God, if that inside zone run works and he takes it to the house, ooh, it's going to be ugly around here, let me tell you. With that being said, I'm being a little delusional with my pick this week because the Packers are struggling, let's be honest. The fans are calling for Matt LaFleur's head, which, come on over, honey. We'll take Matt LaFleur in a tenth of a second. You can come over, we'd all be thrilled. Let the Packers fans run you out. We're good. Would love Matt LaFleur to come over here. Just don't want him calling the plays because that seems to be a problem, which is fine. Let Mike Kafka stay on and he can do it, whoever he's going to hire as the offensive coordinator. But this is a good Packers team, obviously, but I think they're really struggling right now to find an identity. The defense has done a good job, like I said, of holding these teams to less than 20 points, and the offense can't seem to get anything going. So I really just want this week to be the week where there's a renewed sense of fight in this building, a renewed sense of optimism. We heard a lot from the players this week that Mike Kafka is very calm and he's very chill and obviously has a very different coaching style than Brian Daboll. And maybe that's what these players need. Maybe they need stability from a coach who's not going to throw his headset or be screaming or throwing a tablet at the quarterback or doing anything else that Brian Daboll has done on the sidelines over the last 3.5 years. So I think that's a part of it. The other thing is, from what I know about Mike Kafka and what he said to the media, accountability and aggressiveness are two things that are very important to him. Now, I don't think we're going to see a Wink Martindale-esque defense from this team this week because Mike Kafka likes to be aggressive, but I feel pretty confident that he's going to play to win. And I think there's going to be a lot less rush 3, drop 8 play calls this weekend. I think there's going to be a little bit more blitzing. And the biggest reason why I think that is, I think we talked about this yesterday, was that if Kafka got the head coach job with the Saints, he was going to bring on Wink Martindale as his defensive coordinator. So to me, that, along with what Kafka said to the media, and having watched, obviously, Brian Daboll's philosophy of playing not to lose, go down in flames, I think he's going to take it in a different direction. So I'm optimistic for Kafka. I don't think they're going to go out there and, light it up by any means and put up 40 points against this Packers team. But I do think it could come down to a last-minute field goal where the Giants end up winning, or the Packers go to tie it and the kicker misses, which happened last week. So I think there's a possibility of that happening. I'm going to hope for the best here. I'm rooting for the Giants. I'm always rooting for the Giants. They're probably not going to win this one, but I just think with that switch in energy, the switch in coaching, we could potentially see a team with some life in them this weekend. And again, a coach who's willing to fight to win, not try to play not to lose. So we'll see what happens. There will be a recap on Monday waiting for you guys. Hope it turns out with the Giants win. Let's go Big Blue.